Hello everyone and welcome to my advanced laning guide, specifically for Zyra support. I'm Melyn, a Zyra main who hit Masters in preseason 6 and has been ranked number 2 Zyra world according to LolSkill. Although the footage and phrasing will be for Zyra support, a lot of the information in this guide will be relevant to Zyra in other lanes and even other supports. This video is divided into sections, so feel free to check the timestamps below to view the information you'd like to focus on. We'll start with most Zyra players' favorite thing to do, harassing. There are two primary combos for harass. The first is a short harass combo of QW auto, which will proc Thunderlord's Decree and force the plants to attack your target. This does a surprising amount of damage and is a good way to harass lanes with no sustain or a scary all-in, as it still gives you an extra C and your E in case they commit to a fight. Use this when you want to harass without making yourself too vulnerable. You can also use this if you can't really fight but want to farm the gold from your support item. Don't use this, however, against something like a Janna because her shield will choke up almost all the damage and you will most likely lose the trade. Or Sivir, as she can easily spell shield your Q and you won't get off meaningful harass. The second harass combo involves the same combo but with an EW before or after, depending on the mobility of your opponent and what you prefer. Oftentimes, I will QW auto the opponent, and if they dodge towards me or try to trade, I will then EW them for a large amount of damage. Sometimes though, I will wait for them to last hit and try to burst them with an EW QW auto combo. This leads me to my next point. The best time to harass is when the enemy carry is trying to last hit. Always watch your creeps' health bars and punish their AD carry when they last hit. This forces them into a lose-lose situation where they must either take your damage or miss CS. This is also one of the best ways to land your E, as it is very slow moving and easy to dodge. I usually QW auto them when they come in for normal last hits and try to EW QW auto them for cannon minions. All of this being said, we haven't mentioned the enemy support. As much as I'd like to 1v1 the enemy AD carry, you must always keep in mind the positioning of their support and your AD carry. If you have an Ezreal with Tyr, for example, who's farming with Qs and you're up against a Leona support, you probably don't want to be quite so aggressive. Get a feel for how your AD carry wants to play and respect it. If the enemy also has a passive support, feel free to harass 1v2, but again, make sure it is safe to do so. Many people have questions about harassing under turret. Turrets will not switch directly to your plants as it would a champion, but they will switch to your plants and one-shot them as soon as they kill whatever minion they are attacking. You can abuse this fact by harassing when the turret is killing a cannon minion. Just make sure that you don't take aggro yourself or it will switch immediately after. A key thing about harassing in lane is knowing when you shouldn't. Harassing on cooldown is a great way to end up dead. Always ask yourself how much kill pressure the enemy lane has. Ask yourself where their teleports could go. Ask yourself where their jungler is. As Zyra, you are extremely powerful, but one aggressive move at the wrong time can, and often will, cost your life. This leads to ganking. Zyra's harass will naturally push the lane. This creates an unfortunate combination of the squishiest, most immobile support being in a prime spot to get ganked. Do not push without vision. The only time you should feel comfortable about pushing without wards is when the enemy team is visible in other lanes, including the jungler. League is all about risk versus reward. Awareness is always important, but even more so when playing a champion like Zyra. The ideal position for the lane to be in is frozen near, but not under, your turret. This allows your jungler easy paths to gank without losing CS to turret. This also lets you zone your opponents if you are ahead by standing in front of the wave and harassing them when they come close. Again though, make sure you have the support of your AD carry. The absolute worst place for the wave to be is in the opposite case, frozen in front of their turret. This leaves you extremely vulnerable to ganks as well as mitigating your harass, as the tower will just one-shot your plants. In this event, push the wave completely under tower in hopes that they will miss some CS and the lane will reset. If you cannot do so for whatever reason, don't be embarrassed to ask your jungler to help you push the wave. Next is vision. Important for all supports, but extremely important for Zyra. You should always have a pink ward on the map and in your inventory. With the removal of green wards, the map is much darker and vision wins games. Common places to pink depend on the situation. If you have a lot of lane pressure and are strong, pink to watch for jungle ganks and force fights when they try to clear it, but make sure that the enemy jungler is not behind them, or you can call for your own jungler to defend it. Pinks are an excellent way to bait your opponent into fighting. If the enemy mid laner is roaming down bot a lot, pink in the upper river to see them coming. If you want to help your own mid laner out, also consider pinking their brush. Finally, if you have a jungler that likes to lane gank, you can pink your own lane brush. Just make sure to not pink it immediately before they come because it looks pretty suspicious, and you never want to give away a gank. If you're pushing a lot, consider rushing sightstone. Usually I like to get a few items before sightstone to win trades harder, but you can only do this if the wave is in a nice position and you aren't getting camped. If there's constantly a party down bot, don't complain. Get vision and make their team waste their time. I've said this a lot in this video and I'll say it more. Vision is everything. That being said, make sure that it's safe to get vision. If you suspect the enemy jungler is near, don't face check towards something. Deep wards are fantastic and extremely helpful to your entire team, but again, make sure it is safe to obtain them. Once you have Frost Queen's claim, this is much easier to do, but without it, make sure their jungler is somewhere else and their bot or mid lanes are busy. Finally, I'd like to comment on when to switch to sweeper. I like keeping the yellow trinket for a few levels, even after getting sightstone. Usually keep it until level 9 where I can upgrade my sweeper. I find that with the removal of green wards and the ubiquity of blue trinkets, that level 1 sweeper is not that great, and I'd rather have a few extra wards for when my 3 charges from sightstone run out. Of course, this all depends on the player. Alright, that's it for the core of this guide. I would just like to make some brief remarks about topics that are covered fully in my other guides. To hear more about these topics with in-depth discussion, check them out by looking at the video description. To cover all-ins in the laning phase, make sure you don't waste your ult. I personally like starting all-ins with a QW auto combo, and if they dash out or try to trade, then I all-in by using EWR after. Make sure you ult over your plants to enrage them and auto-attack to focus the correct target. If you're maxing Q, remember your E is a very short root duration and use your ultimate accordingly. For summoner spells, take Ignite whenever you can get away with it for better kill pressure. However, remember just how good Exhaust is against bruisers and assassins like Aurelia, Zed, Katarina, Wukong, and more. For Masteries, I prefer 12-18 in most scenarios, but may go 0-18-12 in extremely scary lanes, think Draven and Leona. For runes, I really enjoy ability power quints, magic penetration marks, health or armor seals, and scaling CDR glyphs, though sometimes I may replace my glyphs and quints with ability power or magic penetration to snowball the laning phase. You can also run movement speed quints against difficult skill shot lanes like Blitzcrank and Leona. For skill order, I generally like putting a few points in Q for more reliable harass and then maxing E afterwards for the utility and locking people down in my ultimate. However, against immobile lanes like Nami, Jinx, Jhin, and Bard, I highly recommend maxing E, as landing one root will be the end of them. For item builds in lane, your core is upgraded boots, Frost Queen's Claim, and Sightstone. The order is highly variable on the matchups. If you're pushing a lot, get an early Sightstone. If you're roaming or dodging a lot of skill shots, get early boots. If you're fighting a lot, get an early Frost Queen's Claim. And that's it. Hopefully this guide helps you succeed. If you have any questions, feel free to drop by my stream and ask me, or you can send me a message on Twitch, Twitter, or leave a comment below. Good luck, and may your enemies feel the thorns embrace.